So today I'm gonna go over kind of like my 2-month check-in, like where I'm at. It's February 24th, and how am I going to end for the first 6th of the year? Where am I at my goals? You know, a check-in. I'm gonna start off with the books that I finished. Then I'm gonna go over the books that I'm currently reading. Then I'm going to talk about some of the books that I bought. Because I'm a fiend, and even though I haven't finished all of my books, nor am I anywhere close, I'm just like, you know what? I want more. It's a problem. To start off the books that I finished, the first book that I finished, and really it was all three, was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. I also read James and the Giant Peach and Fantastic Mr. Fox, all by Roald Dahl. Now, this is a beautiful version of this book, as you can see on the inside, and then it has these super high gloss pages, which are lovely. Now, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, every single chapter is done in a different color, which is gorgeous. And it has Quentin Blake's original drawings in it as well throughout, and it's so pretty. I can't even stand it. So pretty. And then also James and the Giant Peach is in here, and there's the Giant Peach. There's the Giant Peach. And then also finally we have, that's still James and the Giant Peach, we have Fantastic Mr. Fox. And they were not done in multicolored pages like the other stories, which was kind of annoying. Like I kind of wish they would have done that throughout for the look of the book, but you know. And then this is the back of it, and it has gilded edges, like nice foil gilded edges. Just beautiful, like Barnes & Noble classics always are. But anyway, for how I felt about the stories, I've read them all before. I believe the last time I read them, I was in college. I don't know, so I have just a lot of nostalgic feelings for these three stories. I was really terrified by James and the Giant Peach as a child because it has giant bugs. And I don't like bugs. So of course, as a kid, I was like, yeah, no, I don't like that at all. I don't like it one bit. But in rereading the story, I really had a lot of empathy for James because of the aunts that he grew up with. It was really, really great that he found a new family. I don't know, a story about found family, even when they look way different than you and they're super different than you and they don't seem similar at all, but they care about you more than your own family, I think says a lot. Fantastic Mr. Fox calls out capitalism. I don't know, I think people forget how much Roald Dahl put a lot of his feelings, and maybe I'm reading into it a bit. This could just be some literary criticism crap that I'm coming up with, who knows, but I mean, clearly all of these stories are meant to teach kids a lesson, which is don't be greedy. Literally, you will go down the garbage chute or you'll be a bad nut. And that just because you're poor doesn't mean that you're not going to make something of yourself. And finally, just, you know, be kind and good to everyone, and the world will be good to you. The next book that I read was Lethal White by Robert Galbraith, also known as J.K. Rowling. So this was the fourth book in the Cormoran Strike series. I am finished with this series. I don't care if she publishes another book. I'm bored. Though the book in of itself was interesting. Like, it's a mystery thriller. Like, she did still have me, like, interested. I also just felt uncomfortable the entire time reading it for a few reasons. A, as I mentioned in my last video, she's made turfy comments, and I already felt like not great about reading it. She was this idol and beacon of like acceptance and kindness and treating everybody kindly, and that everybody, you know, deserved equal rights. And now she's like spouting like views that seem antithetical to everything she's ever taught us. But okay, whatever. So I got the book from my library, but I read it because I wanted to continue the series anyway. But I'm not going to anymore. In the book, she decided to call a character a boy girl. I will say it was not a term that she used for a transgender person, thank God. But it was for like a mistaken identity. Like one of the characters couldn't tell if another one of the characters was a boy or a girl, so he referred to the person as a boy girl. But I don't think it's ever okay to use that comment. Find another way to be descriptive. Find another way to like explain your situation rather than using terms that are rude and dehumanizing. But minus that entire thing, I also found the pace very slow. Some of the other books have been a lot faster and easier to read than this one. I was just like, just get on with it. Like, honestly, she could have eliminated like 50 or 100 pages and I would have been like, okay, thank God, they're gone. This is so much easier. I'm very tired of this will they, won't they vibe between Robin and Cormoran. Like, why are you making us suffer through this? Like, it's annoying. I don't know. It's just like, it's Jim and Pam, but they're private detectives. It's what it feels like, and I'm bored. I will say the book did have some good quotes. I mean, it's J.K. Rowling. She's a good writer. She also had written an abusive relationship between Robin and her husband. I was glad to see her write something so poignant and so close to her so well, because it's an important topic matter that a lot of people don't discuss. Emotional abuse is still abuse. I will say the plot in its entirety was very I didn't call it, but it also wasn't a surprise. Like the villain, I was just like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. I kind of feel like you went for the obvious answer. It was like, it was an intriguing and enjoyable novel for the most part, minus a lot of the critiques and criticisms that I have for it. But ultimately, I just don't think it was worth 600 pages of my time. The next book that I read was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I think for the most part it did live up to the hype, so I was really happy about that because that's not always the case. So I loved the way that Adeyemi dealt with PTSD. Several characters experienced trauma, and each of them had an individual experience and an individual way of expressing the pain and the anxiety and the depression that they felt afterward. And I thought that was done very, very well. For once, not making everybody out to be these cookie cutter people who are going to experience, you know, mental anguish the same way. I found her writing style very intriguing. I thought the atmosphere was visceral and fantastic. I did find the book a little predictable. That's probably my biggest critique about it. The structure of the novel, the very structure of the novel, made me predict a major plot point very early. And I find that incredibly annoying because I thought that would have been such a cool, like, what? That's crazy. I can't believe that kind of moment. And instead, I was like, well, I saw that coming. I would have loved more backstory. I'm hoping we get that in the second book, but we'll see. But I wanted more information about the king, and I wanted more information about how this magic system works and about where this magic system came from to begin with. Like, we got a little bit, we got why it went away, but we didn't get like why it existed in the first place. Like, where did it come from? And I just, maybe that's just my like atmospheric and, you know, world building, character development brain, that I really want to know all of these things. I love detail, and maybe a lot of other people just don't care. I hope that we get that in the second book, or maybe in the third book, just at some point in the series. It would be really cool to know those things. I don't know. I really, really loved some of the characters. And then there were some characters, and because for some odd reason, it's always the case, when someone is clearly like coming out to be the main character, they're generally not my favorite character. But I will say the other thing that I thought Adeyemi did really, really well, like really, really, really well, was showing oppression, intra-racism, and classism all through the guise of magic. Like, she was knocking down these pillars of what people believe about intra-racism and classism, and being like, no, see, it's like this. And I thought that was brilliant, because when you show somebody something with a completely different viewpoint, they're going to think different things. And then when you're like, see, and then you compare it to this, and they're like, holy, that's this, oh my gosh. And you can really change people's viewpoints and help them see things in ways that are going to make them more enlightened and hopefully more empathetic. So those are the books that I've read. Now I'm gonna get into what I'm currently reading. I'm not even gonna mention the French Harry Potter right now because I haven't touched it all month, so I don't get to count that one. Neither do I get to count the short stories, because I read one, I think, and that really doesn't count either. But I have all year, right? But I'm still currently in the middle of A Death in the Family by James G. Honestly, this book is dragging on. Not exactly boring, because every once in a while I'll get to a place and I'm like, yeah, and I get momentum and I'm like, I want to know what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then he'll hit me with 40 pages of italicized print and I'm like, I don't want to read this anymore. But I also just want to finish it because I want to know what happens. So it's been a struggle. But I hate the weird stream of consciousness, like random dreams that he throws in. And again, 40 pages of italics. It's just like, are you trying to stab my eyeballs out with your fonts? And I can see why in the 30s it won the Pulitzer, because it seems so different and out there compared to all the other literature that was out there in 1930. But dear goodness, I can't stand it. And I know that my professor in college, who was a James G. scholar, would be like, how dare you? But I don't care. I'm also reading Into the Wild by John Krakauer right now. So the writing is fantastic. I love Krakauer. He's amazing at what he does, and I always find his books enthralling, and it's generally hard for me to put them down. I don't know. I have a lot of opinions, but I feel like I can't really voice my opinions because he was a real person and not a fictional character, and it upsets me. Finally, I'm currently reading The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. I am about 194 pages in, and it's about an 830 page novel. I'm not gonna lie, this first 200 pages has gone by pretty quickly. It's really interesting so far. It's essentially a murder mystery that takes place in New Zealand during the gold rush. So like in the like mid 1800s. All in all, it's really cool. I like this book a lot so far. And finally, I'm gonna go over the books that I've bought. It's only 2, and it's just because I couldn't not buy these. So there's that. The first one is finally the finishing of my Diviner series, and that's The King of Crows by Libba Bray, and I'm very excited to finally read the culmination of one of the series that I discovered on BookTube that I adore. It's creepy and like full of horror, but also has like magical powers and has some of the best diversity I've ever read in a book series, like ever. And I cannot wait to finish the series, and I swear to goodness, if it's not as good as I hope it will be, I'm gonna be so sad. If y'all haven't been able to tell by the way that I just, am as a being, I'm a huge nerd. And I'm also very dramatic. So, lately, one of my boyfriends and my dear friends has been hosting some D&D one-shots for us, and I have been enthralled. Like, honestly, I'm just like, this is so cool. This is everything that I want. And I have been wanting to get back into writing pretty badly. I thought that maybe being a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons would be a good way for me to get some of that like writing energy out into the world. So I bought my Dungeons Master Guide. I still have 2 other books that I want to get just because I'm more tactile. Listen, I know all of this is available online and I could just look at it on there, but I like having a book that I can flip through. It's really cool. It is not as high gloss as my Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but still pretty glossy. It has all of these charts to break down exactly like how you should pick things and like what dice to use, which is super cool. There's a lot of really awesome illustration in the book. I feel like that's finally gonna help me push me to do some like actual writing. Yeah, so I still need to get the monster manual and I still want to get the player's guide just so that way I have everything. I want to be very careful about not buying literally everything that says D&D on it because I do have a tendency to be a collector and I want to like get all the things. Like Pokemon's super dangerous for me. I want to collect them all. I want to catch them all. And you can't. You never will. You cannot catch them all. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful reading day wherever you are.